If you work in support, you know the feeling, right? Answering the same questions over and over and over again. Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down a really powerful method that's designed to stop that cycle for good. It's called KCS, and it can seriously cut down on your repetitive support work.
It always starts with something like this, doesn't it? The classic "I can't log in" ticket. It's simple, it's common, and it probably lands in your queue multiple times a day. Every single day.
Or hey, maybe for your team, it's this one, a billing question. How do I do this question? You know, the kind of ticket that makes you feel like you're just a broken record stuck on a loop.
And that is the heart of the problem. It really does feel like you're on a hamster wheel. You solve the issue, you close the ticket, and boom, 5 minutes later, another one just like it pops up. It's exhausting, and it just clogs up your queue with work that, honestly, could have been prevented. But here's the crucial insight, the big idea. The problem isn't about how fast your team works. It's about how findable your team's collective knowledge is. The answers are already out there. They're just buried in old tickets, scattered across different docs, or maybe just stuck in someone's head. So, here's our roadmap for getting you off that hamster wheel for good. We're going to start by really digging into the problem. Then, we'll introduce this big idea, the KCS paradigm shift. We'll look at the day-to-day workflow called the solve loop, break down what a great KCS article actually looks like, and then finally see how one single ticket can be transformed into a knowledge asset that saves you hours of work. So, what's the real cost of being stuck on this support hamster wheel? I mean, it's more than just that feeling of repetition. The consequences actually run pretty deep. Yeah, the impact here is huge. Your agents waste countless hours just rewriting the same solutions. Your customers get different answers, sometimes even conflicting ones. And this is a big one, when a veteran on the team leaves, all of their tribal knowledge just walks right out the door with them. This whole situation often creates a culture of what we call hero support, where agents get praised for manually putting out every fire, but never for actually building the fire extinguisher that would prevent the next one. Okay, this is where everything changes. This is where knowledge-centered service, or KCS, comes into play. And I want to be clear, this is not just another documentation project. It's a fundamental shift in how you think about solving problems. Just look at this comparison. The old way, the traditional way, documentation is a totally separate task, right? It's an afterthought. But with KCS, knowledge isn't an afterthought at all. It's a natural byproduct of the work itself, created by every single agent right in the middle of their workflow as they're helping a customer. So here's the formal definition. KCS is a methodology that weaves knowledge management directly into the fabric of your support process. See, it's not something you add to your job, it becomes the way you do your job. You're constantly reusing, improving, and creating knowledge with every single customer interaction. So what does this actually look like day to day? Well, it all happens inside what KCS calls the solve loop. Think of this as the core engine, the everyday workflow for every support agent. Let's break down the 4 practices that make it run. First, you capture the customer's problem in their own words, right as it's happening. This is so critical for search later on. Second, you structure that knowledge with a super simple, consistent template. Third, and this is maybe the most important part, you reuse. The motto here is search early, search often. Before you do anything else, you search. And finally, you improve. Every single time you reuse an article, you're also reviewing it. If something's wrong or unclear, it's your job to flag it or just fix it right there on the spot. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit on that structure step, because a great KCS article isn't just a random brain dump, right? It follows a really simple but powerful template. Let's look at the 4 core elements every article needs. So a great KCS article has these 4 parts. First, the issue, and it has to be described from the customer's point of view, using their words. This is so key for search. Second, the environment. That's all the relevant context, like the product version or their operating system. Third, the resolution, the clear step-by-step instructions to fix it. And finally, there's the optional but often super helpful cause, which explains why the problem was happening in the first place. And here's what that actually looks like. This is just a prototype of a closed ticket. But you can see those distinct fields, right? Problem/question, that's the issue. Environment, that's the context. And fix, that's your resolution. This simple structure makes the knowledge instantly scannable and super easy to reuse. All right, let's put it all together. Let's walk through a real-world scenario to see the true power of this whole workflow in action. So here's the situation. A user is locked out of Slack after they changed their password. And your team has already seen this ticket 9 other times this week. Now, the normal response is just to solve it and close it. But what happens if we apply KCS? Here's the shift. Instead of just reacting and replying to that one user, the agent takes, maybe 2 extra minutes to be proactive. They create a new knowledge article. They capture the issue, can't log into Slack after password reset. They note the environment, SSO enabled, and they write down the clear, simple steps to fix it. And here's the payoff. The next 8 users who run into the exact same problem, they go to the help center, they find that brand new article, and they solve the issue all by themselves. 8 tickets that would have flooded the queue, they just never get created. That one small act of documentation deflected a huge amount of future work. And when you start applying this across your entire team, the impact can be absolutely massive. I'm talking about a number that looks something like this. That's right. Studies have shown that a well-run KCS practice can lead to up to 50% case deflection. That means customers are solving their own problems without ever creating a ticket. Think about that. Half of the repetitive tickets that your team is drowning in could just disappear, freeing up your agents to tackle the really complex, high-value problems. So I'll just leave you with this one question. Think about it right now. What is that one reoccurring question that makes your team groan every time they see it? You know the one, the password reset, the invoice download, the how do I cancel ticket? That question right there, that's your starting point. That is your very first KCS article.